Hello everyone and welcome to a new VOD review. We are in the Jotes meta. It is in full effect and you should get used to it because it's going to be like this for the entire stage. Unless, you know, someone comes from the heavens. If Jeff Kaplan falls from the heavens and takes it away from us, we're going to be here for a while. So we better get used to it. So we're going to review some of the games that happened over the weekend. We're going to start with the Houston Outlaws versus the Los Angeles Gladiators. So the Houston Outlaws is a team that has actually looked pretty good in this meta. They have recently signed Doge and Lep. Doge played originally in the first match of the weekend for them, in which they got reverse swept by... Who did they get reverse swept by? NYXL, I believe it was. And so they got reverse swept by the New York Excelsior, which was disappointing for them, but they do look good in this meta on the back of Pelican and Merit being crazy good. They have been stepping up like crazy on the DPS heroes, and they are both very comfortable on these heroes. Pelican has struggled to play the Tracer, but he is a very good Genji, and we'll see that in this match. On the other hand, the Los Angeles Gladiators went 0-2 in this weekend, losing in Map 5 series both times, one to Dallas, one to Houston. So people are starting to get worried about this team. They've won the last two tournaments that we have had in the Overwatch League, and they've looked dominant. And we thought that they would be good in this meta. They have Kevs who can play Genji. They have Patty Pan who can play the Sojourn. Funny Astro skewed on the Lucio Brig. But interesting factoid is Patty Pan actually has said on stream that he has a wrist injury, so he was not able to play this weekend. So Shu actually played the first map of both of their series, the Showdown as we're dubbing it, and it was okay. It was fine. It wasn't awful, but it wasn't also stand out. Arns does come in to play the rest of the maps. He plays a lot of Ashe, but it seems like they're not confident in Arns coming in to play the Sojourn, so he only plays the Ashe. Don't really know how that works, but let's just get into the match. We'll have a lot of things to talk about. We'll talk about the meta. We can talk about all that stuff, and we can go from there. So both teams are running out. If you've been living under a rock and haven't watched any of these matches so far, we have the Jotes meta, which is essentially Junker Queen Goats. And it's not obviously Goats. It's not 3 tank, 3 support. But it plays in a very similar way, in which you have 5v5. Shu goes down first, by the way. You have a 5v5, 5-man brawl, who everyone stands on top of themselves and just runs at the opposition. This is possible because of the Junker Queen commanding shout, where she screams, everyone gets temporary hit points, and everyone gets movement speed. So this is obviously very strong. You pair that with 2 other AoE aura heroes in Lucio and Brig. It's very, very strong. Pelican getting caught there for the start is also quite bad for the Outlaws because, you know, losing one player, just as it was in Goats, almost certainly results in you losing the entirety of the fight unless something crazy happens or the one team was at a disadvantage before the pick anyway. So this has been pretty bad, you know, look of it so far. And this actually happened to a lot of teams where they're just getting first picked. Players getting a little bit greedy, getting first pick, and then losing the team fight before they can even really have a team fight. So there's a lot of different unique moments that happened in this meta that are important. The timing of the commanding shouts, how you're using your ultimates, oh my god, and not getting picked. Now Lep gets picked first, and once again the fight is over. And this is actually a difference that exists within Sojourn Goats, with Jotes than old Goats. In old Goats, there was Zen, Lucio, Brig, 3 tanks. So it was very hard for someone to die for almost free. Someone to just get picked before the fight. But one of the reasons Sojourn is so good in this meta is she can one-tap support heroes. Like 200 HP support heroes with a fully charged, right click. And that sort of changes up the dynamic because you need to be careful in that manner. And Sojourn's also very good because of the slide. So if you get run down as a Sojourn, you can just slide away. So you have more survivability. We've seen some teams play the Ashe. You know, some teams really like the Ashe. Ashe does more damage, but has less pick potential and less personal survivability. So it feels like we've had about 50-50 Ashe and Sojourn. I personally prefer the Sojourn. I think it gives you more pick potential. I think it's better, but you know, that's just my preference. So we just saw Dante's Rampage here, and let's talk about the Rampage usage because I think it's going to be important. Because, so Dante goes in here, but one of the things that I don't like about this Rampage, so Rampage is ridiculous. It is the size of a planet, and it anti-heals people for like 5-6 seconds, and they bleed during that duration. So if you hit a target, primarily a 200 HP target, and there is not a commanding shout, a sound barrier, or a rally, that person is almost certainly dead. Like, they die most of the time. You only need to do a little bit more damage to get it through. So this is what I don't like about the way Dante uses his rampage, right? So he's just going to turn the corner and rampage. I think this is actually a pretty poor choice, because what happens is automatically Reiner can get crazy value with his shout, right? So he shouts, and that protects them through the initial bleed and the initial push, right? As you can see, everyone's getting low, but because they can just disengage, and if they can survive through the purple, then you're golden, right? Because there's so much healing that exists in this composition. Reiner does get one tap by merit, so that kind of defeats everything that I just said, but the point still stands. You don't really want to engage with the rampage if everyone's going to have the tools to deal with it. Rampage is a better mid to late fight than it is an engage. I completely agree. I don't think like, it's even fine if you use it early on in the fight. I just don't think you want to engage with it in the fight. For the most part, people are just using sound barrier. When someone rampages, the sound barrier goes through. It almost completely nullifies the value of rampage, and rampage takes stupidly long to get the ult. So that was actually a very fast charge by Dante. So the support usage is like really a big factor for like how you are winning these fights and how you're dealing with a lot of these other ultimates. So sound barrier, as I said, usually deals with the rampage pretty well. Rally's pretty good against beat, and rally is kind of used as a mid fight to sort of give you a massive advantages in these neutral fights. So Custa in general, who is the best character to target for first pick? The best character to run down is the Brig, and you've probably seen that. Some teams, Paris Eternal, their biggest struggles exist when their Brig player can't stay alive. So the Brig can't pack themselves, while the Brig can pack anyone else, and then you only have Lucio and Junker Queen to give you any form of support. Oh, not much value out of that blade. So Houston turned the fight as well. But yeah, so I think the Brig is probably one of the most isolatable targets in the fight. Junker Queen is pretty hard to kill just because of her self-healing. Everyone can pocket her. And her hitbox is really small. Lucio is just hard to kill in general if you have good movement. Genji has dash and deflect. Sojin's also not another pretty good target, but it's generally pretty hard to get on top of Sojin, and even if you do, she can slide away. So Brig is really the most isolatable target, and I think you've really seen the boys get split from the men on Brig, because the flex supports are the players who have had to play the Brig in this meta. And a lot of flex supports don't have a lot of at least match experience on the Brig. So there was some varying degrees of skill on that hero. Here, the movement acceleration on Sojin slide needs to be nerfed. No, I think it's fine. So good disengage, they get the point, and then they get the win.
Score 0-1.
What do you see better Brigs doing that others aren't doing? Just staying alive. And like, it's about like not using a bash to do damage. It's about just like keeping Inspire uptime, getting in there when you need to, but also just like using your bash to get away and just playing it smart. Like just not getting greedy. You are primarily and foremost a healer, so you need to get healing out. And I think some people are just trying to get a little too antsy with the Brig. Who do you think is the best Junker Queen in your opinion? From this weekend, I would say like Dante, Hopper, Mag, Hanbin. Dante, I think, played much better on the Junker Queen this match, but I think he still has ways to go. I think the best right now would be Hanbin if I was taking a random stab. You see the Brig stats? Finn is Sag. No, I haven't seen those stats if they came out. So Skew gets Dante early. So we actually saw Kevster pull out the J Silly here. Dante only played this match, yeah, but he looked pretty good, in my opinion. He played one map on the in the first series as well. He came in for map 5. Punk really impressed me in the Junk Queen. In his first series, he was very good. Yeah, Punky was solid. So, and this is the value, right? Like, this is what Sojin offers into this meta that other heroes would not, right? So, there's a lot of poking, there's a lot of healing, as you can see. But the thing that Sojin does better than anyone else is just the ability to get this pick. Because we talked about how cooldown usage and ultimate usage is so important for winning team fights. If your Sojin can just one-tap a support, it'll eventually scale away from you in a lot of ways. So, Merit going kind of crazy here. Can we get some shoe pop? Yeah, okay, let me jump it on for you. What do you think the Mei? I actually like the Mei. I think the Mei's an interesting play. I'm not 100% in love with it, but Dallas and London played it, and I think they both have great Mei players and play around it well. I think you're gonna see slight iterations coming from a lot of these teams as the weeks go on, as people start to experiment and start trying to get a little bit more value out. In the same way that Florida is using double flex support and stuff like that. Do you think there are times in which Ashe is better than Sojin? I think in long range maps, and players have said this as well, in places where you can stand really far back on Ashe and on like high grounds like Dorado, Gibraltar, I think the Ashe makes more sense because it's just more consistent damage. And if the Sojin can't charge up the rail damage, then Sojin doesn't get anywhere near as much effectiveness as Ashe. Like Ashe does way more damage than Sojin does in this meta, primarily because of the dynamite as well, but just the ability to free fire from distance. Please name the YouTube video Sadiators greater than Houstonable. Alright, I'll steal that title for this one. Do you think the Mayhem double flex support? I think there's merit to the double flex support from Mayhem. We haven't seen it work with like too much success against the best players. I need to just see it more. It felt like the Shock ended up working out how to deal with it pretty quickly. Like you don't play it straight up like you generally would with the two Junk Queens. But if you play in a way in which your Genji, Lucio can like execute the backline and get on the backline, there aren't many people on the team who can help them. If you get there. So I think people will work out counters, and I think Shock have already shown cracks in it. So getting a little run over right now. Shu doesn't really get any value from that from the Sojin ult. Let's see what Reiner does with this ult. So engages with the commanding shout. Oh, that's a good rampage. So you see the rally and the shout come out, right? Which should give them the sustainability to live through that rampage. So that's another one where they've opened up with the rampage while the opposition commanding shout is still up. So like, I think teams need to get out of the habit of doing that, right? Like, even if it's just getting the commanding shout out and then using it, like, but the commanding shout is just mitigating so much of the initial damage and the threat of the rampage.
Victory.
What do you think of the Bastion? I think it was a cool niche pick, but I don't think it'll work in the long term. Oh. Okay, that's new.
Ready for battle.
Did Reiner delete his Twitter again? Yeah, he literally undeleted his Twitter, posted the tweet, and then deleted his Twitter again. Or like locked his Twitter. I don't know how it works. So on to Hollywood. I'm glad to see Hollywood in the pool. I like Hollywood. I am a Hollywood fan. So Arn's in the lineup now. So let's get some Ashe pop here. Why is Genji being played over a Tracer? Okay, so let me give context to it. So you're a Tracer, right? And you want to kill people. But then when you shoot at someone, they have Lucio healing and Brig AoE healing constantly around them. You are also playing with a Lucio and Brig, so you're not going to get an orb. You can only get a pack every now and then. So it's like, Tracer just doesn't work in the meta because she doesn't do enough damage to get through a lot of the healing and the shouting. And the only way you would ever really find value is with pulse bombs. So Genji is just a better hero. And potentially you could live through pulse with shout. That's a good shout. So no real value coming out from Ans. What do you think of incorporating Echo? I know some people did it in contenders, right, instead of the Genji. I don't know. Teams haven't really shown that ability. Like, I can understand the idea of Echo, which you have the beam in which you can mitigate the healing of if you ever get the Junk Queen below half. But I think outside of that, it might be hard to stay alive and stay protected on the Echo while also getting good damage in. People seem to be prioritizing the Ashe right now, though. So these are good engages by the Houston Outlaws. Like, as soon as the Gladiators get even close to looking at them funny... Oh, nice shot. As soon as they get close to looking at them funny, they just run them down. I'll put match score at the top. Thank you. Oh god, Ans gets murdered by Merit there. That's a bad late death. Dude, I think Merit has impressed me a lot this stage. Merit's been absolutely crazy on the hit scans. Didn't the Custa whip out the Echo? We've seen a little bit of Echo here and there, but predominantly Genji. Merit is the clutch master. Dude, the Houston Outlaws fans got to pay Merit more. Merit saved them in this series, and we'll talk about that when we get there. Think Reaper is not good in this meta? No, Reaper's very bad in this meta. Because, so like, to put context of it, like, why would Reaper be bad? So what would happen is, so we're at this standstill. Reaper would Wraith walk in, teleport in, try and shoot someone. First of all, Junker Queen's hitbox is fucking tiny. It's the size of a DPS. So the pellets are going to be very hard to hit and get high effectiveness of damage with it. There's also a lot of healing that can mitigate that damage. But even in the face that you could get damage, yeah, it makes sense. But as soon as you try and Wraith walk away, like, so you teleport in, you try and Wraith, you can get chased. Like, if the team is healthy enough, they could commanding shout and just chase you down and you will just die on the exit of Wraith walk. And I think it would be too easy to get punished in comparison to like an Ashe who can do damage from range, or a Sojourn who can do damage from range and then slide or jump away, and Genji who has a deflect and has a dash away, right? So it really comes down to like, I just think it'd be hard to get value, like consistent value. Rally, Bob. Bob doesn't seem very good in this meta. I usually love Bob, but Bob is just not very good in this meta with the amount of healing that goes out. It feels like all his damage is always mitigated. I don't really know why they engaged onto this Bob while it's out. Like, they could have waited just a little bit longer, but it's not the worst thing in the world. So Custa pulls the blade, gets the beat out. This is a pretty common thing that happens. Like, someone pulls the blade. As soon as the beat comes out, they just try and live. So Custa does here. So now both teams have used their defensive ults. And there's 3 important ults, right? So Rally is good in the middle of a fight. Beat can counter the blade. But then what that results in is if a Rampage comes up, then you should win that fight for free because there are no defensive ultimates to deal with it. So because Funny Astro had to pop the beat to save Kevster on his blade, then all of a sudden Pelican can pull his blade late in the fight, and then they end up getting the cap. So, like, this is a prime example of how these ultimates matter and why the order of which they're used matters, right? So Kevster should not have engaged with this blade while the Bob was up. Because the Bob was up, when he engages with this blade, he takes too much damage, forcing Funny Astro to use the beat here, right? So he uses the blade, the beat comes out from Lep. Lep's doing a good job, that's the right beat. Kevster then has to disengage, but because the team gets forced into a bad position to help him, Funny Astro has to drop the beat. All of a sudden, the beat is out of order, and they have a blade still coming in from Pelican. So now Pelican has they don't have any answer to the blade. All the damage is starting to get mitigated. They're losing their over health, and then they just clean up from the Houston Outlaws. So Outlaws are putting on a clinic of how you should use your ultimates, playing reactively, but also proactively when necessary. So now Dante has the Rampage. There's no defensive ult for Skewed or Funny Astro, but the same can be said for Lep and Lastro with Rhinos. Would you say engaging with ultimates isn't as strong in this meta as in the past? No, it's very valuable to add engage with the ultimates, but it's important to understand how it's going to go. You can't just be, we're going to all in when I pop this ultimate. You need to, we're going to engage with the ultimate and then react to how they react, right? And that's sort of what that fight was. So Dante is gonna once again open up with the ult, and once again I do not like this. So he opens with the ult, Reiner just pops the shout. I think this is almost like a bait. They're lucky that Pelican gets Arns there. If Pelican doesn't get Arns there, they're in a big problem. Like, let's see how this happens, because this seems like a gamble from Pelican here to kill Arns. Yeah, so if Pelican lost this for free, they would be in a really bad spot. But yeah, so the bleeds are going out. It does end up working because they can isolate Reiner and the support's peeled back for Arns, but it's a dangerous one. You got to be careful when you're engaging into the commanding shout.
10 seconds remaining.
So now Reiner has the rampage, so he's got the free one, but because it's taken so long, Lastro actually has ult, and they're so far away because of the way that fight went. Skewed dies before it even happens. Lastro's going to get his rally up. And they just don't touch. So this was a really bad fight by the Gladiators. And I think a lot of it goes back to, obviously, just not having the first couple of fights were good. But then that fight where they pulled the blade and they used the sound barrier, they did not get enough value on that one.
Initiating match.
Full held, the full held value. All right, let's get some merit, Pov.
2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A. I'm taking damage. Thank you.
That just can't happen, right? Like, I don't know how he died so fast, but yeah, I don't think Kevster was ready for that amount of damage. So I think it seems like he got shot by someone that he wasn't ready, and then the dash execute was just too good. So that was a good execute by the Houston Outlaws, but that just can't happen, as I said. What do you think of the Sparkle Genji? It's alright. It's definitely not what it used to be, right? Like, but he's still solid. Like, I don't think you're ever going to be upset having Sparkle as your Genji player. So the Gladiators actually managed to hold that. So there's the dynamite value that you can see. Like, look at Arns' ult charge, right? Like, you charge Bob so fast. But once again, Skewed just getting too wide. Like, and this is the thing about the people where, like, the others are saying, like, oh, the Gladiators might be washed. It's just dumb mistakes like that, right? Like how is Skewed dying like that? It's such a cheap way to lose the round, right? Dante killing everybody. Wasn't Skewed the best brig in the league last year? Yeah, he's still a great brig, but that was definitely a mistake. Like, he just got a little too wide, shield breaks, dies.
Ready for battle.
Glads are really good at underperforming the first two maps, and then Unta must, like, yell at them. True. Alright, so now we go over to Gibraltar, and this map was sick. This was a sick map. Merit and Pelican go crazy. So we're going to watch a lot of Pelican pop in this one just to sort of see the value that Genjis get, because Pelican also goes crazy. Genji diff. Oh, does not see Arns there though. So the Outlaws trying to hold close, just trying to waste some time. They do a good job, but Arns gets the high ground. Once Arns has this positioning, it's just over. Time to die, Lep. Big score. Thank you. Who do you think will play Jungle Queen for Boston now, Mag or Punk? It'll be interesting because I think Punk was good for the Boston Uprising. I have no problems, but Mag was one of the best individual. But then you have team synergy. It's hard to really know. With that said, they could absolutely just run Mag and run a fully Korean roster, right? Because Punk was the only Western player because they have Faith playing the Lucio and MCD was playing the Brig. And then they have Valentine and Victoria. So they could run a Korean roster of 5 players. Maybe they're finding value in that. So Punk might just get benched again. He'll be back. He always comes crawling back. But there was a Reddit. There was a thing that showed Boston showed that Mag was at the facility already.
I'm on fire.
The forest has been cut down.
I'm almost ready.
They'll always come back to good old Punk. They always do. Who are watching and sign in place of him? You know what? I think you should look at some things. No one yet. But we'll see. You know, maybe they'll sign someone good. Kevster gets caught. Like, I actually don't know how Kevster doesn't get more value with that blade. That blade looked like it was going to be crazy. He gets the shout. It looked like he was about to kill everyone, but he just gets bullied out. I like that blade by Pelican, but yeah, just too much damage. The rest of his team died. Just misses the 180 slash, yeah. Do you think Dallas should go after Happy? 100%. Dallas would be very good with Happy. Like, if you get Happy and then you can run, like, Happy Doha Sparkle, like, that's sick. But then they have 5 DPS players, right? So it's kind of hard. Yeah, what's up, Chopson? Who does Dallas drop if they go after Happy? Gurio. LA Valiant have 5 DPS. Yeah, and I think everyone strives to be the Los Angeles Valiant in this league. I think the Valiant are a really good template of what you should do in the Overwatch League. Dallas should keep Edison. Yeah, I think they should keep Edison. I think Edison has more upside and fills in a lot more holes than Gurio. Like, if you, like, think about it. Like, if you sign Happy, when would Gurio ever play? Right? So it's like, Edison, there are situations in which Edison might play. He's like a great Reaper player. He has those moments. Edison will probably play less, but if you sign Happy, you would just never play Gurio if he was still on the roster. Happy to Toronto? You have Heath, so you guys don't need Happy. Oh. Kev's kind of crazy.
Not my first rodeo. Certainly not my last.
What's your take about Rush hates boosters rumor? Oh, it's probably true. A lot of Korean people hate boosters. It's like a very negative thing to be outed as a booster in Korean culture. So let's see how he uses this. So the blade's probably going to get up the beat. Oh, Lastro dies before anything happens. That was really bad. So that's like another case of, like, if you can isolate the Brig, that's a big negative because that just throws you away. Like, they could have lived if Flashro stayed alive, then Lep could have potentially held the beat. Kevster forces the blade. Lep drops the beat, and then they could have sustained off of there. Merit has the bob, but nothing comes from it. Oh, Happy was a booster apparently. That's why I brought it up. Oh, maybe. I don't know. I can't speak to that at all. I don't know. Kevza looks clean on the Genji. Dude, Kevza looks squeaky clean no matter what he plays. His ability to stay alive, he's Houdini. I swear, man. Not that time, but in general. I agree, Yamagotsu. Like, I think the records of a longest regular season win streak is kind of weird when you have a different roster for the Shock, but that's just how stats work. Wait, did he hit the Brig with that? Or did he hit the Lucio? Like, how does Kevza kill Lastro again? Sorry, 1 second. I do. Jesus. All right, so blade on blade. Trading is good for the Outlaws. Leb needs to die, though. Trading is less good if Leb dies this late. All right, so you said you want to see some Rhinopov? Let's go. Do you agree with the way the Junk Queen's knife interacts with damage mitigation? I don't know. It's hard to say. I think it's fine. Like, the bleed, I think having the bleed is fine. So the shout into the... Once again, Houston Outlaws opening and engaging with the Junker Queen ult. Not in love with it, once again. Like, I feel like Dante doesn't get as much value with the Rampage as we see from other people. I guess he wants to use it to engage, but... Hot take, I sympathize with boosters who use their video game skill as a way to make quick, easy money with their options to do so limited. Okay, the counterpoint to that is I agree that, like, you know, it happened in like 2016 and stuff like that. There were a lot of people that boosted because it was the only way to make money. But with that said, boosting is literally a primary reason of why ranked modes are so bad. Because these people boost and sell accounts, and they are literally the reason that your ranked games suck. So say that with a grain of salt, because as much as individually you see the people profiting and making money, the negative aspect of it is that when you are playing in a game and you feel like you're getting fucking dominated by someone, that's probably because they're boosting an account. Boosting accounts is what promotes Smurfs and what ruin games.
30 seconds.
Didn't Apply make a tweet about how in 2018 like a quarter of our pros were actively boosting? I don't think it would be true that it was in 2018. There was a very harsh statement. I can speak to this. In 2018 when we were doing our player summit, I think it was Jake asked the question when we were there, and the question was like, if someone had boosted in the past, is there any can you still be held accountable, right? Like, obviously, you know, you're saying no one's allowed to boost anymore, but what happens if it comes out someone's in the past? And Nate Nanza, commissioner, said, if there is any evidence that anyone has ever boosted, then consequences will be severe. And that is one of the reasons that, you know, no one really boosts anymore. In the league, you get paid enough money that you don't really see our players boost. Maybe some do here and there. But I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the Overwatch League players in 2018 had boosted in the past because it was the best way to make money.
Score 0-3. Switching sides. Initiating.
Custa, I don't think Koreans hate boosters. It's just different than how we see it in the West. Yeah. Koreans look down on anyone who boosts very heavily. While in the West, most people are more like, yo, you made a quick buck, Pog champion. And then all they'll do is bitch and moan about how bad the rank system is. But then not condemn the people that are actively hurting the system. And they'll just blame the developers. Like, you know what's funny about that whole thing? The people who are probably the most outspoken, like think about all the OWL players who like complain about how shit ranked is and how the game sucks so bad and ranked is an awful experience. Most of those people have probably boosted in the past and have actively boosted. So they literally hurt the system and then complained about said people who are ruining the system or the people that are buying the bought accounts. So it's like, they're literally just like shooting themselves in the foot and then complaining about it. And then have 15 smurfs. Yeah, like it's just is what it is. Have you ever boosted? No, I never boosted. And like as I said, like I could be lying about that for all you, like I would never tell you if I had boosted, but you can take me at my word and my face value. I've never boosted. I don't know. It just never really, as I said, maybe I would have in 2016, 2017. If someone had come to me and be like, hey, you want to boost accounts? Maybe. I didn't think it was the worst thing in the world back then, but I've never done it. Not skilled enough to boost? What? That's not what, hey, I was rank 1. But yeah. It's the same thing. I've never taken Adderall as well. I think another big issue in esports is Adderall consumption, and I also never took Adderall to play, and I've heard that that shit helps a lot. So, you know, I'm a pure esports gamer. I can say that. Wait, I want to see how Pelican did that. 1 second. Let's get some Pelipov. Just Coke for this game? Yeah. Adderall's for sissies. I'm more of a Coke gamer. Damn, dumps it. Organic farm raised gamer only chugs coffee. Yeah, they only I just inject coffee into my veins. It's honestly how I get away with it. Has the same effect. Holy shit, Pelican went crazy. He got a lot of like 1 picks, but he had some crazy executions. It's one of the things that Genji has that's crazy as well. Like this is why Genji is better than Tracer. Like Tracer would just get forced out, force the recall, and then she's useless, while Genji has the sort of like value of like creating space. Oh, well, hopefully not dying. God damn it, Pelican. Every time I try and talk nice about you, you die. Can Genji deflect Junker Queen Axe? The way it works is that you do not take, it's the same with the dagger. You will not take the initial damage of the hit, but you will take the bleed if you deflect. Do you drink more coffee on normal than match days? No, I tried to keep it pretty standard, but I would always have like a coffee going into the game. What do you think Glad's primary issues right now? They have an immaculate roster. I think they just made individual mistakes. And like as a team, they were like getting picked in weird spots. Kevster and Skew getting picked off from time to time. Just some weird mistakes here and there. I think the Glads will be fine. They'll bounce back. Alright, let's get this Pelican Blade. Like, I use his meta eventually. They just gotta make sure they qualify for the Summer Showdown, right? Big dynamite. Alright, what are we doing here, Gladiators? What's the plan? Alright, they're walking up now. Oh, Kevs is getting low. Oh, wait. So what happened with these Junker Queens? Let's have a look at this. Let's get the third person POV. So Reiner jumps down, double engage with the ults. Dude, Reiner's was very good. Dude, somehow the Outlaws all lived through that. Look at how much health everyone has. It's actually ridiculous that Outlaws win this fight. They're all so low. Didn't Ark say if you're not taking Adderall, you're literally throwing? Yeah, there was an article that came out in 2018, maybe early 2019, where they got a bunch of players, not just Ark, but like a bunch of esports pros from different titles. And yeah, Ark was literally quoted saying, if you're not taking Adderall, you're putting yourself in an intentional disadvantage. Which you can use that to just assume that how many other players are using it, right? Bob, rally. Kevs has gotten punished on his blade a lot. I feel like Kevs is going too early with his blades in these fights. He's just getting turned on. I've seen it used more in the COD scene. Yeah, I think it's way more common in the COD scene. Adderall consumption is way more common in the COD scene. I feel like Outlaws understanding of engaging, disengaging, being above teams. Yeah, you can absolutely see it, right? Like, you can see they definitely play way more as a unit.
Wobble, wobble, motherfucker.
Do you think esports will ban Adderall at some point? Well, esports, Adderall consumption is banned for Overwatch League. I think it's like if you ask someone, it would be banned. But the thing is, they don't test, no one tests for it. Like, yeah, what are you going to do? Make everyone pee in a cup? And then even if you did make everyone pee in a cup, then how do you control it in terms of some people need Adderall to function as a human being. You can get a prescription from your doctor. And then anyone who knows how easy Adderall is to get from a doctor, it's very easy to get a prescription for Adderall. So then it's like, well, they can't stop people from taking it. So then what would you can't just ban anyone who wants to take Adderall and then also test. So that's the thing, is like most esports haven't really ever been able to combat it. So it just sort of exists. I just took a paper survey to get it, and that's it, right? Like, you can literally, there is literally doctors' offices and people that have the ability to prescribe it, that they make it as easy as possible just so they get as things. Like, I've heard like that all you have to do is set up a like you can do it online. You just set up a online doctor's appointment, and all you have to do is say, I have trouble focusing, and they will give it to you, right? Like, it's not really mandated very well, especially in the US. Oh, that was a better ult by Reiner. Oh, he got murdered for it. That was another good disengage. But yeah, like you can sort of see the differences between these two teams of why I think the Outlaws are performing better for the most part. Feels like they coordinate together as a unit better than the Gladiators. I think Outlaws played better in all 5 maps, but always choked when it mattered the most, except in map 5, in which Glads threw even harder. Well, I think, yeah, I actually think this map, I think both teams played really well. Like, this is the only map that I think both teams played really well, and this was really far back and forth. Like, this map was sick. Like, people are making plays, people are making the right calls, there's not as much throwing. But the next map, don't get me started on Colosseo. I'm gonna go crazy on Colosseo when I watch the Outlaws throw. But I agree, the Outlaws were better. Good, Bob. Like, look at how strong this ultimate is, right? Let's go back here. Look at how strong this ultimate is. They don't have a defensive ult. Dante goes in, they throw the Bob. Arns, he hits the main tank and Arns, and it splits everyone and just causes so much problem. Like, the Jungle Queen ultimate, if used well, just absolutely ends a fight if there's no defensive ult for it.
Score 3-3. Switching sides.
Arns was so alone there. Yeah, but he was like trying to play like close towards his spawn doors, as most people do when you play that. Thoughts on Bob versus Overclock? I think Overclock is way better than Bob. I think Overclock has the ability to like murder one target even through all the overhealth, while Bob, I think, but like they can both have value. Like they're neither one of them is really terrible, but I think Bob can get mitigated a lot easier.
Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
What should we look for to identify good Jungle Queen play? Honestly, I don't even have the answer to that right now. Like I haven't played and I'm outside of scrims, so I would say in general, like probably good cooldown usage of your scream, and also probably good dagger usage. Keeping up as much blades as you can.
My hand needs a knife in it.
30 seconds remaining.
Knife pulls, yeah, there are some really good knife pulls in here. Feed enemy support ults with dynamite? No, I don't think that's feeding ultimates because you're also getting your own bob at the same time. And dynamite is good because it mitigates some of that healing, but... You want Astro Pop here? Alright, here we go. No, you don't get team stats with the replay viewer. Right? Yeah, no. Unless they had... I was like, did they add that? That was pretty good play by Astro. That amount of damage that he did to... Oh, nice. Yeah, that was pretty good play by Astro. Why doesn't BAP work in this meta? Because he just gets run over. BAP literally just dies. And he doesn't do that much healing because everyone's not super stacked up. You're better playing a Brig. And the packs, yeah. Also, what value would you get from Amp Matrix? Like, the ultimate's just so useless. How does Skewed die? Skewed, you good? What are you doing there? I feel like Skewed made this mistake a lot. Oh, he missed the bash and then went further? Yeah, that was a... Like, this is the kind of shit that happens. Skewed got caught a lot like that. Kevster and Skewed, I think, are the two major culprits of this, of just getting too aggressive. Beat, Blade. We got the Bob from Arn still shooting, but it was mitigated by the beat. Dante's about to get the ult. Yeah, nice play.
To me, Gracie. You call that a fight?
Round 3.
Any Lucio where Brig Lucio is the meta? Yeah, it's just not a good meta for the sports. How do the teams decide that, yes, we need to play Lucio Brig with this comp? Well, like, what happens is someone tries to play Lucio Brig. Like, what would have happened is... Because it started in contenders. Probably what happened is someone played Junker Queen Lucio, and they were trying to work out which support felt good with it. And, like, they probably tried a lot of different things. They probably tried Ana. They probably tried BAP. They tried to do that. Someone probably tried Lucio Brig, and it just worked really well. And then one team starts dominating with that comp. Another team tries that comp. They start doing really well because it's the best comp. And that's how metas are formed, right? Is that one team starts making it popular and starts having crazy success. Another team copies it because it works. You end up in that mirror, and then those people then scrim other people who scrim other people who scrim other people, and it becomes a meta over time. So you said the first day you played Jungle Queen that Lucio was a must? Yeah, it was always Lucio was always gonna be an obvious choice. Brig was not an obvious choice, but it makes sense once you sort of think about it. Moira no good here? No. Moira, like, think about Moira. So Moira does healing, but her damage, a lot of her damage will get mitigated by other healing. And Coalescence is just a really bad ultimate when you have things like the Junker Queen. Like, if you just coalesce and then they use the Junker Queen ult, you just lose. This pull was so sick. Just pulls Reiner down, gets him onto the ground. Actually crazy play by Dante. What's the reason behind double flex on defense sometimes? That's only Florida Mayhem who is doing that. And the reason is that it's such long range that the Junker Queen Lucio Brig will never be able to close the distance. So if you play Zen Ana from really far away, then you can just do a ton of damage and make it so that you never end up taking that 5v5 fight. And you have anti-heal, and, like, you know, there's value in those things. The problem is if they ever get on top of you, you just lose. And, like, Genji's murder Zens and Anas, right? I think the Zen Ana would be good until you play against a good Genji, and a good Genji will just tear you apart. Moira does have the damage orb in this patch. It got reverted. The weakening orb does not exist on this patch that they're playing on in the Overwatch League. They did it against proper Genji. Yeah. And they got what? 3-0'd. Why does the sound weird? Is that just me? So there's Rally. So why did Funny Astro and Skewed use their ults? So Lastro rallies. Funny Astro beats to save Reiner? I don't think he should be the one ulting to deal with this. I guess he did save Reiner, and if Reiner dies there, they're in trouble. But I think Skewed should have rallied earlier. If Skewed had rallied earlier, especially when they had rallied, that probably would have been better. Because what happens is, Funny Astro beats, and then Skewed rallies shortly after that. So all of a sudden, they've used both of their support ults. Arns gets Pelican, though. The Bob is good by merit. But, like, here's the counterpoint to Bob, right? Is that all the damage just gets mitigated, right, by all the healing that exists. They didn't kill Skewed. If they kill Skewed here, I think the Houston Outlaws probably win. But this, because like they needed to full commit, right? So they've killed Pelican. Pelican's dead. Let Beats. I guess they don't have Pelican to follow up this kill. But look at how low Reiner and Skewed are. If they kill Skewed here, they probably win this fight. But just because he lives, they all of a sudden they're going to get a ton more healing out. Oh, Skewed eventually does die. Okay, never mind. Reiner and Skewed die. But then they have the Bob and the Blade, and it's just so much damage. They don't have the beat to deal with that anymore. The Dante ult comes out just a little bit too late. But that's just Bob value right there. Can you show how Pelican died? Okay, let me go back for you. He probably tried to murder Arns on his own. Oh, he hit the wall with the dash. So he falls. Yeah, if he fucked up his dash. Damn, that sucks. And with that, the Gladiators win the first map. That was a good map, though. Honestly, that map was great. That's why Bob is better than Overclock. But I think you can also look at cases where, you know, I think you can look at cases where the Sojin kills 1 or 2 people. Like, off the rip. And you can make arguments for and against, right? So it's like, I think there's value to both.
2, 1. Objective unlocks in 30 seconds.
Let's get some Reinapov. You think Spitfire will actually sign Khan? Boneback is already a great Zen. Yeah, but you would much rather get... Boneback had some good moments on Zen, but that is a very short-term solution to play Boneback on Zen. Like, it's just not good. Like, it's obviously had its moments and it's been good, it's impressive, but you'd much rather have Khan. The sound is weird. Am I crazy?
To me, Gracie.
It sounds like I'm in like a fish tank. Sounds like an echo chamber? Yeah. I don't know what's causing that.
You owe me one, yeah?
No gun sounds? Like, we're missing some sounds.
To me, Gracie.
They're taking the robot.
Maybe. Oh, yeah, no gun sounds. Johnny has it. It's definitely no gun sounds.
Oh, let's break it. Damn.
No, none of the gun sounds are coming out. Ooh, nice by Custa. because the area. No, I noticed on Gibraltar as well, and I was hoping that it would fix itself.
Stick with the robot.
Yeah, it's very strange. Thanks for the sandwich, Joyce. Alright, so Gladiators get a bit of positioning, but have to back up. So this is the problem with... What the fuck? This is the problem. This right here, this is the problem. This is the problem with Coliseum. I think this corridor is a terrible design. It's cool, but I feel like we just end up bouncing back and forth through here and no one ever pushes. Bob, Blade, beat from left to counter the Kevster Blade. Good job by Kevster to get out of there. When did Skewed rally? So they're gonna rally engage to get the Bob and the Bob. Okay. They don't have any ults anymore right now, right? And Pelican has a blade, so this should be able... Pelican should be able to get pretty big value with this. He doesn't even want to use the blade. Sounds like Dead by Daylight, honestly.
Do not leave the robot.
Yeah, that was a good play. That was a great play by Pelican. Just played it smart, played it safe. Eventually finds the window. And now they have the Dante Rampage to deal with the next fight as well, because they still don't have any loose support ults.
Almost there. Get him over.
Why did he wait so long to blade? Finding the right window. So that's a pretty good Junker Queen ult. Junker Queen on Junker Queen action. Oh, wow. That was a nice bleed. They did lose the bot here, though. I remember this. This is actually a really smart play by Reiner. It actually makes that team fight not matter anywhere near as much. He even gets like 1 extra meter from it as well. Got some Lastro Pulp? Alright, let's get some Lastro Pulp.
Your team is close.
Push ahead.
The barricade's moving along. Whew, special delivery. I want that robot back. Let's go.
I still hate that that's possible. Yeah, it just forces you to play on the objective in some capacity. Like, I don't think it's the worst. So, like, here's my problem with the map, right? Like, everyone always disengages. And, like, every time it gets to here, it's so bad for the attacking team to stay here and fight here because the defensive team has so much more cover and protection that, like, everyone always disengages. So it feels like we always end up in the exact same fight with this bot in the middle. Isn't that the issue with push in general? I don't think it happens anywhere near as badly in New Queen Street. I feel like New Queen Street doesn't have this issue in the middle of the map anywhere near as much. I think the moment at the checkpoint is kind of hard to push, but I think it should be like that. Look at that Brig go. Big Brig gameplay.
Yes! We're gonna take the lead! Sending care your way.
New Queen Street is fun to play. I really like New Queen Street. And as much as people like to complain about the push game mode, we've had some really good matches on this map. Like, and on the game mode in general. Like, it creates some pretty unique, like, back and forth moments. There's obviously some pain points to it and it needs some iterations, but I actually like push. It's at least better than, oh. It's at least better than 2CP. Alright, so the Gladiators get that team fight win. So Gladiators are pushing out, but now they're going to get caught in this situation, right? Where they don't want to take this fight to push the card. So they're probably just going to chill here and let the Outlaws take the bot back. Right, so you like they don't want to push any further because look at the defensive position. The Outlaws, they're in a much better position. So they try and isolate Dante and it doesn't work. Well, that dynamite's big. Dante does go down, but Merrick gets Astro. And here's the problem: is you just can't deal with the hit scan from the back from the defensive team just sitting on the high ground. Like they just get to sit there for free compared to your hit scan who gets caught on this low ground. It can be dove very easily, right? It should be stairs. Like, you think if they put stairs up here, it would be better? Like, I could see something like that. Allow the offensive team to get onto the high ground easier. Because it feels, like, impossible for the offensive team to push into that. Because, like, the Outlaws do the exact same thing, right? Like, the Outlaws just get to this point, they realize the Gladiator's there, and then just disengage. So all of a sudden, we're taking this fight in the exact same spot once again. That Bob's not great. That's a great ult by Dante, and that's the classic example of using the rampage in the middle of the fights once things have already been done, and then they just get way more value. While like Reiner used his into a Lastro rally. So the butt scratch happens. Would the barricade move backwards? No. I don't think you need to fundamentally change like the idea of the barricade and the bot. How did they lose this? Oh, I will highlight the moment, don't you worry. So there's the rally from Scoot, so they should win this fight because they have the rally. Outlaws do not have an answer to it. Lep didn't use the bait. And that's fine, that's fine. You got positioning, you got ults. Will we ever encounter hero pulls this season? No. There's no reason to do hero pulls. Bob beat. Good beat by Lep. Oh, drops Lastro though. They blade on the back of that. There's a blade in the back line for Kevster as well. So that was a great fight for the Gladiators, right? So Kevster blades, they use Bob, they use blade. Lep's beat was just a little bit too late, and that cost them so much. Because Lastro's dead, they don't have the sustainability to live through the blade. Getting off Jotes would be a good reason? Yeah, but like... Or we could just balance the Junker Queen, right? Like, maybe if we go from stage 3 to stage 4 and there's expected no changes, maybe hero pulls could work, but yeah. So once again, we have the Gladiators not wanting to fight on their point because they're at such a disadvantage. So they're going to disengage once a fucking again, right? Like, it's just, like, this is the problem with Colosseum, right? Like, no one wants to take a fight in this area because it's so bad for the attacking team. Like, everyone's always just disengaging. Funny Astro gets murdered by Pelican. So pretty bad play by Funny Astro, just getting a little too in the open. So they throw the Bob. I don't know if this Bob was needed, but it's also not the worst thing to guarantee this team fight. But here in my opinion is the ultimate throw. So you know that the Gladiators are coming up on ultimates. You have the rally. What you want to do, in my opinion, is you want to push it to about here. If they can probably get it to about here before the Gladiators really start fighting. The reason they leave it here is they want to take an advantageous fight. They're probably going to give a lot of this space for free, but they want to take an advantageous fight where they can choose the tempo, right? But by leaving it here, what happens is when the Gladiators, they don't want to do anything. They just want to sit here. So Dante's hiding in this corner for whatever reason. So I don't really understand why they've given them all this free space. And then Dante doesn't hide anyway. So he ends up just getting caught out and low. So because he gets low, all of a sudden they give that corner. They get dynamited. Okay, so they're like, oh shit, okay. Well, now they're losing so much space because they decided to hold the bot there. They're like, okay, we want to take a fight here. So they get... They wait so long that the Gladiators use their ultimate. They trade rallies, which is fine. So we're going back and forth. We're going back and forth. Ba, 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 ba. Lep dies. And here's the problem with these strategies. You have no real room for error. So because Lep dies, the problem ultimately is that the card is moving during this team fight. So the Outlaws realize that they need to stagger themselves onto the point and that they just need to die. So they die in a very slow fashion, right? One by one by one by one. But that staggers themselves so that this fight was lost so late, and where they died is that they actually get the checkpoint for free. So now we're going into last fight territory, and the Gladiators only needed to use one ultimate to win that fight. So because they only needed to use one ultimate to win that fight, they now have 4 ultimates going into this final fight where the Outlaws do not have anything. And now the Outlaws are in a disadvantageous situation in which they only get one more fight. If they had taken the fight, let's say they had pushed the bot here and they had traded rallies here, right? What would have happened is they would have traded rallies here, potentially have gotten another ult out, and then the bot would have gotten to about here when they would take another fight, in which the Outlaws, as we have already determined so far through this map, the Outlaws would have the defensive advantage of they would be able to sit on the high ground while the Gladiators are on the low ground, still pushing this bot, and they would not have gotten the checkpoint for free. So all of a sudden, the Outlaws have this massive advantage where, even if the Gladiators do have the ultimate advantage, they need to win 2 fights. And that they are taking a disadvantageous fight. But now, the Houston Outlaws, because they did not push it further, and they let the card get so far forward, all of a sudden, they are at a disadvantageous spot because they have to be the ones to engage onto the point. So the Gladiators can play pretty safe around this corner and around this backline, and then just use the ultimates. Dante engages with his Rampage, but they have the beat to counter. Then Reiner has his own one. They do not have the ultimates or the defensives to deal with it. Reiner hits a mega crazy Rampage, and they just win the fight for free.
Victory.
Too many people, I think, are doing this idea that you need to metagame this point. Someone else did the same thing. Was it Dallas Fuel? Did the same thing where they like metagamed themselves into trying to get one really advantageous fight, but then something goes wrong and everything falls apart from them and it becomes an uphill battle. Like they're putting too many eggs in the one basket of that one team fight when they could potentially get more team fights and give themselves more opportunities to win. And that's why I think so many people are choking in, especially Coliseum. I don't think it's anywhere near as bad on New Queen Street, but the advantageous fights of where you are taking these things is not really understood, I think, yet. And obviously, it's easy to say as a hindsight Harry of like, this is why what you did was bad. For all we know, Houston could have won that fight and we wouldn't have blinked an eye. But I think teams and players need to learn from those kind of situations. Oh, that's right. Dallas took the forward fight, but didn't take the ball with him. That's right. That's right. So, final map. Map 5. Houston is about to get reverse swept for the second time in the weekend. It is Houstonable in every sense of the word. Reiner, this is a great wall. I don't know why the... Like, how does this happen? How is the Outlaws so much further forward? So they get out there, but like, Outlaws just disengage into the Mega Room with Arns and... Maybe they see the May, and then they get walled and Reiner just died. Like, I don't know. This felt like a really weird first fight for the Gladiators. They just, like, didn't commit. Sim? They both played Sim. Also, I want to talk about something while we're watching this Houstonable moment. Some people are really upset about the idea of Houstonable, or that we make fun of Houston for always like thing. So we had some people tweet at us. We saw some threads and stuff like that. Literally everything is just about setting a narrative, right? And making it interesting, making people think. Houstonable is not a massive slight against the player or the team. It is just true. Like, the Houston Outlaws teams is intentionally throwing the game in certain moments, or like throwing the game and making tragic mistakes. And they're like, they just struggle to close. You should stop being mean to them. It's like, literally, this is just a narrative, and it's interesting and it's funny and it creates fun in the league. If you're upset about it because Houston is your team and you're like, they're trying their hardest, don't be mean to them, I don't know how to help you. Like, you cannot determine the game any other way, and we're just trying to make the game entertaining, and because if you want everyone to say, if you want the truth of like the analysis of this game, Houston Outlaws fucking sucked. They made some tragic plays in the final hours of this match. Would you rather us be rude about it, or would you rather us just sugarcoat it in a Houstonable term, right? Because they made some really bad plays. We want us to attack the players individually for making a throw. No, you don't want to do that. We're using Houston as a meme. And if you don't want us to talk about players making mistakes, then we're not even a competition at this point. We're just throwing out participation awards. So, fans, if you are like that, we need to be better and just chill out a little. I actually really like the May here. Houston have earned the Houstonable title. Yeah, it's not like something that just recently came up. It's been 5 years in the making that we've set this Houstonable this term. May is strong on this sub-map. Yeah, there's a couple of maps in which I actually really like the May, and this is one of them. It's the same with the Sadiators. Yeah, exactly, right? Like, there's narratives with all these teams. Merrick kills Arns. I'm actually curious to see how Merrick kills Arns. Okay, well, no, he got murdered by someone else. Merrick just did the final tap. So they get onto the point, they wall Reiner. Like, Reiner is just getting bullied here by the May. And it's a masterclass of how you should play the May, right? Just play fast, isolate the Junker Queen, and then force everyone else to rotate around. Herbalife. So May ultimate is also a very good ultimate in this meta, because if you can isolate one target, it's just like a win. Like, if you can get the wall on the Junker Queen and then just get the ult down, you just win. Yeah, so I don't... The May ult was kind of interesting, but actually catches Skewed out, which is an enormous pick. Because Skewed was rallying, so now they have the Lastro rally going. They get Arns. Oh, they lost the point here, which was kind of bad. Oh, Reiner also validates that beat by Lep. I don't know if that beat was necessary by Lep, but the fact that Reiner Junker Queen ulted into it makes it 100% worth. Did you find Reiner's tweet as lame as I did? When you're the best team in the league, you don't make dumb excuses for your bad performances. I think he has valid response, but it just reads as salty because they just went 0-2. Would he have made that tweet if they went 2-0 and they won 3-0, 3-0 in their series? Probably not, right? So that's the problem with it, right? He has valid points, but when you go 0-2, it just comes off as salty.
This ends now.
Especially when it's like it's coming from a place of a team that's dominated the entire season, right? Like, it really is a thing that teams that win a lot and players that win a lot, they really don't know how to lose. Like, they feel hard done by, but it's like, well, bro, imagine being on Paris or fucking Paris or Vancouver, you know, and then that is where true pain is built. The kind of a no skill meta. There is definitely, you know, we've all talked about it. There is definitely a lower skill meta in terms of the mechanical sense, but it's not a no skill meta, obviously, right?
Score.
He is 100% serious. Yeah, no, guys, he was 100% serious. That was not a bait tweet. It is 100% serious. Like there's a little bit of sarcasm and humor underlying it that's gonna bait some people, but he meant it. Like it's not a good bait tweet even if it was supposed to be a bait tweet, right?
Round 2. Capture the objective.
High team coordination skill. Yeah, exactly. So Houston's Outlaws up 1-0 in this round. They can't play Mei on this map. Genji is definitely way better in this map. Houston get control first. Still boring as hell. Oh yeah, as I said, I'm not defending the meta. I'm not arguing with what he said. It's definitely a very low skill meta in terms of like that. It kind of pushes the whole thing together. So I'm not arguing with that fact. Yeah, so Gladiators get a little antsy, try and get in the room. Arns and Skew can't help. Good boot, but stays alive. Mary lived for a pretty long time, and then there's a counter dive. The Genji dashes, who was saying it? That the Genji dashes are a very big indicator of how a team's playing, and it actually determines a lot of the tempo. Like, where the Genji is going is generally the determining factor of what the team is going to do. Oh, I don't agree with that bob by Arns. That was a very bad bob by Arns. And here's what, like, this goes back into what I was saying earlier of, like, I think that Gladiators are making a lot of individual mistakes. Not mechanically, but just like decision-making mistakes that just are costing them a lot. And that's really what cost them. Johnny said it? Okay, maybe it was Johnny. Johnny or Voss, one of them said it. But yeah. Genji the primary shot caller? No, but like the Genji is determining who's going in. Because like a lot of the focus fire is dependent on the Genji. So Lep beats, that's actually a really good beat. I actually really like that beat by Lep. Because it like, as much as like it might not have been necessary and maybe the rally would have been better in this, oh wow. The rally would have been better in that situation. It wins in the team fight. And if you can beat for a team fight win, you 100% trade it. I don't think I said it would take credit. I think it might have been a bust. I think it was a bust. So the Gladiators are up 80% with 4 ultimates coming online. There's no way they throw this away, right? I don't know how I feel about this. Dante keeps hiding shit. Let's get an overhead here. Kevster throws the blade. The rally's out for Lastro. Kevster gets merit. Good beat by Funny Astro. Saves Kevster. Protects them a little bit. And wins them the Fiend fight. So that was just because they had double support ults. Like that was the really big determining factor. So Gladiators use their ultimates, right?
I'm getting back in there.
And now we have a look at it.
Stops for no one. This beat will heal you up. Pick it up, pick it up.
Pick it up, pick it up. So both Junker Queens have ultimates. Oh my god, it's so good. But look at how ridiculous this is. Oh fuck. Look at how ridiculous this is. He still somehow hits Dante with this. How does that even happen? Right? Like, how does Dante get hit by that? So Dante gets hit by the purple.
Time for the reckoning.
It's actually a big deal that he gets hit by that purple as well. Because if he doesn't get hit by that purple, he probably goes in with full health. But because he goes in at low health, he gets low. Gets a little poked down. How do Outlaws lose this? Oh, Pelican gets a little greedy on the peak onto Arns.
Do something.
Arns Bob.
Dynamite out.
Arns going kind of crazy. That was actually such a clutch play by Arns. Dante gets another 2, but they come back. Houstonable. Houstonable. Alright, so Houston have no ultimates again. Either the Gladiators. Ryan is now stuck on Wrecking Ball. Was it right play from Ryder to stick with the ball? Yeah. He can't go back. If he goes back, then he's not even going to be back here yet. I think he has to stay on ball at this point. He's just straight up having a bad time. But like, he's stalling them, right? This boot by Skewed was so clutch. Oh my god, Dante jumps so he gets pushed. Dude, that was such an important moment to boot Dante.
Helping you recover.
Houstonable.
Team kill.
So here was a weird mistake that I think was made by the Outlaws. I think if you're the Outlaws, you need to trust that Lep's gonna touch. So Lep gets pushed, but you need to trust. Lastro needs to trust that Lep is gonna touch. Like, I think Lastro leaving as well just leaves their entire backline exposed. Like, everyone else just dies. Like, you need to trust that Lep is gonna get there, because you're gonna lose the fight. If you send your Lucio and Brig to the point, it doesn't matter what you do. I think you're in a bad situation regardless, but yeah.
Team men.
Do you think Fate and Gaga will force Hammond again? No. It has already been rumored or said that the APAC teams are playing the Junker Queen meta as well.
Wobble, wobble,
But maybe.
motherfucker.
Yo, birds, thank you for the 27 months. Hey.
Where's my knock?
So, final map, round 3, map 5, Houston Outlaws, backs against the wall. Surely they'll clutch it out and won't make any mistakes.
Objective is now active.
Pelican gets Arns again. I don't know how many times Pelican has killed Arns. Funny Astro gets Lastro. It's just a very back and forth brawl. It's very hard. And like, this is one of the examples of like, it's so hard to follow who's winning. Like, it's impossible to know who was winning this team fight other than just looking at the kill field and health bar. There's so many mini skirmishes going around that are like not really resulting in anything that...
Thanks for the help. This is our objective now.
Oh my god, that was nasty. This is the one thing that Houston has that they never had. It's Merit. Merit is the hero the Houston Outlaws needed but didn't deserve. Is the game audio weird? Yeah, the game audio is weird. I think it's the replay viewer. Aspire or Merit? Probably. Oh, that's actually a hard one. Probably Merit. But Aspire is also nuts. Oh, the beat's a little late. I think Lep got pushed on the beat, so he went into the air. So pretty bad beat by Lep. Lastro rallies in a 4v5. Okay, that actually wasn't awful because they did keep the point, but they've lost it now and they don't have any support ultimates. I don't know about that beat from Funny Astro here either. I don't think they need that. I think with just the Bob, they should be fine. Reiner's getting a little low. Yeah, I don't think they needed that beat from Funny Astro. All right, here we go. Houston Outlaws come back with the blade and oh, good Rhino ult. So Pelican pops the blade, but he gets hit by the Rhino over Rampage. It's falling apart. It's looking Houstonable. But the Gladiators are out of ultimates except for the rally coming up. I don't know how Pelican got hit by that because the Rampage range is the size of a planet. It's definitely very weird. So Merit needs to go pretty crazy with this ultimate. Oh, actually, let's talk about this first. I remember this. So Merit pops it very early. They disengage. Come back with the rally. Honestly, just unfortunate. But that is so bad for them. They really needed that to hit more people. Reiner needs to not die here. And he doesn't. Dante dies for it. The beat comes late again from Lep. Just saying. Like, I'm not blaming Lep, but how many ultimates have been thrown away so far in this round? Merit, Overclock, Pelican Blade, Dante Rampage, Lep's second blade was bad. Lastro rallied in a 4v5. You can't say that they're not actively throwing away this round. They're actually playing so well, but their ultimate usage is so poor. And this is how you get it. This is how they get it done. Look at this. This is the reason the Houston Outlaws are still alive, is because Merit goes fucking crazy. Lives long enough and does enough damage that Lep can kill Reiner as well. Everyone say thank you, Merit. Because Merit saved the Houston Outlaws behind. And now they have a rally coming up again. I've been Team Merit since day one. Hey, we appreciate you. Bob out by Arns. Rally by Lastro. Blade comes out for Kevster. They're isolating Dante. Oh, Dante gets skewed though. Merit. So here we go again, by the way. Merit taps Funny Astro here. Look at this kill. Funny Astro is 12% away from beat. And there it is. The Houston Outlaws, not Houstonable, breaking the curse, not getting reverse swept 2 times in a row. And there it is. I just realized, did the Gladiators lose in map 5 twice again? Didn't in the kickoff clash they lose in map 5 twice in the kickoff clash as well? Didn't they get reverse swept back to back? These weren't both reverse sweeps, but the narrative is writing itself again. The script writers are getting lazy. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. They're just copying the kickoff clash. But the Outlaws get the win against the Gladiators. As I said, Outlaws look good. I think Merit, Pelican, they look really good. I think they look comfortable with Dante in. Gladiators aren't that bad in this meta. They just have some pretty fundamental mistakes in terms of ultimate usage and positioning at time to time. But I think they'll be able to work it out. I think the Gladiators will bounce back from this, but they do start 0-2. They need to turn around if they want to make the Summer Showdown. So I hope you guys enjoyed this VOD review. I'll be doing a couple more. I want to look at Dallas and New York Excelsior. That's probably going to be the next one on the docket. But thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, give it a video a like, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing more Overwatch 2 replays, and I do recaps of everything that's happened. I uploaded one today. Appreciate you all. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.